welcome back to the Mike and Andrew Show. I'm Andrew Serwick here again with Mike Meredith. Mike, it was a conference championship weekend. We had some crazy games, but how you doing this evening, man?
Pretty good. Wish we were doing a little bit better though. We'll get into these games.
Yeah, I feel you. Let's get right into it. This is gonna be a pretty quick episode today. Not a whole lot going on right now, so let's get into it. AFC Championship in Baltimore, the 3 o'clock game on Sunday. Ravens hosting the Chiefs. The Chiefs win it 17-10. Plain and simple, the Ravens' offense and defense decided to just not show up in this game. Lamar, I don't know what he was doing with with that pick that he threw in the end zone to Zay Flowers that when he was in triple coverage. Granted, there was some pass interference, but that wasn't called on that. But it is what it is. There's still throwing in a triple coverage is stupid. And then obviously you had the Zay Flowers fumble on the goal line that gave Kansas City the ball at the 25-yard line or the 20-yard line. I forget what it is. Just all in all, it was a abysmal day for the Ravens. They just couldn't get anything going offensively, and the defensively, at times they look good, and other times they just let Kansas City run all over them. Not very good tackling from this Ravens defense, which we had seen all year. They just decided to not show up. But man, that offense was probably the most disappointing thing in this game. Just very low production overall for the Ravens. Yeah, Lamar. I don't know if he can if he's that guy, man.
Yeah, that was a tough scene, man. I mean, 10 points. Zay Flowers had that big TD, and then, of course, he goes for the second TD to try to get him back in it, and they punch out the goal line like they did in the Buffalo game, and they lose that. That was a big turn of events there. Kansas City, man, they find a way to get through. Crazy, man. Every year they just seem to find a way to get back to the Super Bowl here. I saw a lot of people proclaiming Mahomes is the best quarterback ever after that game. I don't know about that. I mean, he's got to definitely win the Super Bowl and probably a few more, in my opinion, to be in that combo. But talent-wise, he is definitely off the chart. He's still going crazy with no Tyreek Hill and his receivers being below average this year. And the real reason the Chiefs made it, man, they freaking said, Kadarius Toney, you ain't playing. That man claimed on his Insta, he went off. He was like, I ain't hurt. They just don't want to play me. Yeah, they don't want to play you because every time they play you, they lose on some dumb shit, man.
Yeah, that was quite funny when they benched him. Travis Kelce, by the way, had a really good game. 11 catches, 116 yards, and a touchdown for Kansas City. I mean, he looked really good in this game. It's just a damn shame that we're gonna have to see Taylor Swift now 17 billion times during the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's gonna get real fucking old, real fucking fast, man. I mean, like, I watched the Super Bowl for two fucking things: commercials and the game itself. Not to see Taylor Swift on about 80% of the fucking broadcast, man. It's gonna get ridiculous. In the Super Bowl now that they're going. Although she's supposed to be in Tokyo that night, so they're
Yeah,
so
I
so
did hear
I,
she
I
might not even make the game. What's up?
yeah I'm praying to God, and I'm pretty sure every other football fan is praying to God that she can't make it, and we don't have to fucking see her a billion times during the broadcast. I mean, Jesus Christ, NFL, get your act together with that shit, man. No one wants to see her constantly during a fucking broadcast every time Kelsey touches the ball, man. It's just ridiculous.
Facts.
Like, fuck off with that shit. But yeah, no, overall, it was a pretty decent performance from Kansas City. Their defense was able to do a ton to stop Baltimore, and they did a damn good job. And like you said, with Mahomes being in that greatest quarterback convo, I mean, he's definitely on his way there. I don't think he's quite there yet, but I mean, he definitely has a talent to get there, and he wins in the Super Bowl this year. I think you could start putting him in that conversation already because that'd be what, number 2 for him or number 3, something like that.
Yeah, it'd be number 3.
Yeah, so I mean, you win 3 Super Bowls. I mean, you definitely are in that conversation. And he's still young too, which to get that many Super Bowls at his age, I mean, that'd be quite the accomplishment for sure. But yeah, Kansas City on to the Super Bowl, and so San Francisco. Unfortunately, it's the Super Bowl that no one really gives a shit about. America's team, the Lions, losing here 34-31 in San Francisco. Lots to get into on this game. Let's start with how bad the defense played for the Lions in the second half specifically. The first half they looked incredible. Second half they literally just forgot how to tackle. I mean, Brock Purdy running for 51 yards shouldn't happen. He's not that mobile of a quarterback. I mean, yeah, he's more mobile than Goff, but I mean, it's not hard to be more mobile than Goff. I mean, we have offensive linemen that are more mobile than him. Let's be honest here. That said, they just completely forgot how to tackle him. I mean, there was about 3 or 4 sacks that they could have had that ended up being first down plays because instead of forcing a third and long or fourth and long situation, they turned them into first downs because we could not tackle him. It was ridiculous what the defense was not able to do in the second half. I mean, the Lions went up 17 points before halftime, looking really great, and then just completely imploded. No points in the third quarter, and didn't start scoring till midway through the fourth quarter again. I mean, offensively, there was a lot of mistakes. Some coaching malpractice for sure, and we'll get into that more in detail. But the Niners, man, I mean, they didn't really earn this win, but they certainly took advantage of the mistakes the Lions were making, and the second half actually looked pretty damn good for them because of the fact that they were taking advantage of the Lions' mistakes.
Yeah, man. So I want to apologize to the viewers here because I said that the Lions had nothing to lose in this game. San Francisco was favored. And then this happened. Yeah, they had something to lose in this game. When you do something like that, that's the one thing you can't do is go up big and then blow it, man. That is such a tough scene, man. I know that the statistics say go for it on fourth down. I know Campbell loves going for it every single time on fourth down, but when you're up 2 scores and you can make another 3-score game out of half, they come out of the half, they get a field goal. You can match their field goal and be up 3 scores. They gave the 49ers life, in my opinion, man. It legit did. And then they get the 51-yard lucky pass down the field that Ayuk catches off
Vildor.
defenders.
Yeah, off Vildor's face mask. Yeah, I mean, that was a same old Lions moment right there.
That was. And then Gibbs fumbling the ball after not going on the correct side of the handoff. And I know you said about the defense, and there really is no excuse for that defense in the second half, but I will say they were gassed, man. They were out there so much because the offense couldn't stay on. 3 and outs. It seemed like their offense just was so dead. And this is exactly what happened in the Rams game. We went out, we did crazy, and then our offense died. And I was talking with people at my work. I'm like, what do you think they should have did differently? And the one guy was like, man, why didn't we just keep running the ball, man? We were running the ball all first half. It was working. They made their adjustments, of course, but still think, man, if we would just ran it a little bit more, man, we could have done something, man. But yeah, that fumble, Reynolds dropping 2 crucial passes, and Campbell could have tied it up on a second field goal attempt. I get Badgley is not a good kicker, man. He's not that great, but when you have a chance to tie the game, if they were down 10 points, I would say go for it. Go for it, be gutsy. You got nothing to lose at that point. You're down 10 points. But when you have a lead and you can go up 3 scores, I don't care, man. Like, I know that he want to get that TD to go up 3 TDs, but man, you got to take the points when they're there, man. Like I said, even if Badger would have missed, I would have respected that decision to at least go for it, man, and go for a 3-score game. Just so heartbreaking, man. I know there's people on both sides of the spectrum of this argument on whether Campbell gets a lot of the blame or he doesn't. I've kind of heard both sides, so I definitely was a lot harsher on it when I first saw the game. I was like basically blaming Campbell for all that shit. I've kind of come down a little bit now on my harshness on Campbell, but still, he's not that great of a coach in my opinion. Like he's a good players coach, but as just a strict play caller, he's not definitely not the top of the league in my opinion.
And so the first time he went for it on fourth down, I don't blame him at all for that call. I think it was actually the right call to go for it at that point. You have Reynolds drop that. It is what it is. But there's 2 points in the game that weren't those fourth downs that I think the Lions really blew it. And one of them is to do with Dan Campbell. The other one's actually to do with Ben Johnson. But the first one is kicking the field goal in the first half to go up 17. That one actually didn't make sense to me because the offense was on the field. You go for it there. I think it would have been like a 5-yard or a 6-yard play to try and score a touchdown there. You score the touchdown, you go up 21 points instead of 17. It changes the entire way that second half has to be played from San Francisco's perspective. And the way Aaron Glenn can dial up some more pressure on the defense, or from the defense going into that second half, it could have changed the entire way that second half was played. And now the other one, actually, there's 2 more things that I want to get to here in the second half that happened. The third and fourth run that he sent Amon-Ra St. Brown into the backfield to run the ball on 3rd and 4. Yeah. I don't know what the fuck that was, but that was a Ben Johnson decision.
Yeah.
That was the one I don't understand that at all. The other one I don't understand is I think it was the second down in the final few minutes before they went and got the touchdown where they ran it and they had to call a timeout because the play before was a pass play that was dead. What I would have done there, kick the field goal, get this within 7, and then go and get that onside kick potentially, because you end up saving time doing that because now San Francisco has to go and actually make a drive try to happen. And if you force them a 3 and out, you give yourself a chance because you have all 3 timeouts there to stop the clock on that drive for them. So if you force them to 3 and out, you give yourself a chance to win the game. So that was I think probably the biggest coaching malpractice in this game, in my opinion, were those 3 moments. Although I wouldn't really call that field goal at the end of the game, or not the end of the game, but at the end of the half, necessarily malpractice. But
yeah, because
he was too conservative there. I mean,
see, I gotta disagree with you on that because I think that say they don't get it. They're only up 14 at that point. That gives the 49ers so much life. But then again, if they get it, it doesn't. So it's tough because, if they don't convert that, though, they're only down 14 at half at that point. And that would be tough. I really thought that taking the points there was good. But, if they would have went for it and got it, it would have been great. But you got to look at, too, if they wouldn't have gotten it.
See, but it doesn't make sense to have just gone for the field goal there, and then the first 4th down attempt in the second half, you go for it. It doesn't make it doesn't make sense when you think about it. Like he was very hesitant, very conservative in the first half, which is fine, but you got to be consistent through it. And I think if they would have at least tried to take the points on that first fourth down attempt, even though I think it was actually the correct call to go for it at that point in the game, um, it's just different. But be more consistent. The way the game was going, you should have just kicked the field goal at that point. It would have slowed down San Francisco's momentum. Even if you miss it, I feel like that would have slowed down some of their momentum. But the biggest issue I think overall in this game was Josh Reynolds being clutch all year long in those kind of situations, dropping passes on third down, fourth down conversion attempts. You have to catch those balls, and Jared Goff played incredible. He was incredibly accurate pretty much all day long. I mean,
Yeah, Goff,
like
it was not Goff's fault at
it
all, man.
like most
He
of
was,
most of his incompletions in this game were drop passes. They weren't overthrows. They weren't underthrows. I mean, he was on point almost all day. I think he had like a 90% accuracy rating, despite all these drops that was happening. But I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown dropped a couple passes. The touchdown to JMO, that JMO dropped right through his hands, and obviously the third down play that forced the 3 and out from Josh Reynolds, and then the two fourth downs where we didn't catch the ball. I mean, that those moments, I think, Dan Campbell trusts his guys in those moments, and I completely understand. I mean, they're like 52% on fourth down conversions this year, which is insane. Um, Given the volume that they attempt fourth downs. And Campbell trusts his guys, and I mean at those points, I trust the team because I've seen them be able to do that, and just seeing Josh Reynolds drop those very clutch passes just hurt me inside because it's like we had trust in you, and you completely blew it there.
yeah, it's just so heartbreaking, man. Like I said, thought we had nothing to lose with San Francisco. I didn't think we'd jump out as strong as we did, to be honest with you. Like, I thought that it'd be kind of back and forth type of game, but San Francisco had no life in the first half, and then just we died in the second half. And that's the thing, man. We got to finish strong. Like, if we're gonna play bad in the half, it's got to be the first half because we can't just die in the second half, man. That's one thing that the Lions have done. Like, look at the game against New Orleans this year. They were up 21-0, I think, in like the first quarter. And then New Orleans almost came back and won that game. Against the Rams, same thing. 3 points in the second half. Just figuring out how to stay consistent all the way throughout, man. Team's got to be better.
I mean, yeah, overall the team's got to be better. Someone who did not show up in this game though was Aiden Hutchinson. He didn't have a lot of pressures on Purdy.
No,
He had
yeah,
he and he's the only player on the defense that didn't record a single tackle in the entire game, and he has
yeah.
not done that all year. But in the big moment, he did not show up at all for the defense, especially at times when we needed him.
Yeah, it was definitely tough. I mean, I knew he was going against Trent Williams, who I think is the best left tackle in football. So, you know, definitely tougher. But yeah, he I think even would admit that he had just a down game, and yeah, definitely tough for some of those defenders too, man. That just didn't play as strong.
Yeah, not a good game defensively, especially in the second half from the Lions. Granted, they were gassed because the offense couldn't stay on the field, but man, it was just a tough break because I mean the Lions in the second half had 5 possessions, and 2 of them I don't count because one was the Gibbs fumble on the first play of that drive, and then the other one was a 3 and out. So they had only 3 real possessions in that entire second half, and they didn't take advantage of any of them. But the second fourth down attempt, that one should have just been kick the field goal. I know Badgley isn't that great in that range. I think he clips about 80% in that range of 40 to 50 yards, which isn't that great. In the NFL, you have to be over 90% in that range, but still, man, you have to try and get some trust into him. And I think that's going to be one of the biggest needs that the Lions need to fill this offseason, whether it be through free agency or the draft, is getting a actual legitimate NFL kicker.
Man, it's
But
so crazy.
that said, I think getting someone opposite Aiden and getting a true corner. And granted, Emmanuel Mosley will be healthy because he only played 2 snaps this entire year before his Achilles decided to kill itself. Um, but getting a true CB1 and getting someone opposite Aiden, I think the defense would then be elite at that point.
Yeah, just doing that, and yeah, with the kicker, man, tough because man, that was the one thing the Lions had for 30 years. We had always had a good kicker, bro. We had Hanson all those years and Prater, like, bro, we had a kicker locked down for years. And now it's the other way around. We have pretty much everything else filled out, just no kicker. So yeah, kicker, uh, second DN, and then yeah, just fixing the secondary, man.
Yeah, and look, it was a great. When you think about the season as a whole, the Lions exceeded expectations. I don't think anyone expected them to even get to the NFC Championship game this year, because the expectations, at least in my opinion, were win the division, win the playoff, win a home playoff game. Anything after that's just extra. I mean, overall, I think the Lions season was really, really good. Um, but it's just going to get harder from here on out because even Dan Campbell said it himself, in the locker room, that hey, it's going to get harder. It's going to be a lot harder next year. They have a harder schedule. And the division itself is going to get harder. I mean, it could be a three-way battle between Minnesota, Green Bay, and Detroit next season.
It
Um,
is going to be so
it,
tough.
it's
Like
it's going to be
even
tough.
Chicago's going to get better.
Yeah, exactly. And the NFC as a whole is going to be getting better, except for probably the NFC South because it's the least serious
Yeah.
division in all of football. But
Why can't we get in
it
that division?
they if they can get themselves even to a wild card spot next year, I'm happy with that. Just making the playoffs because who knows? I mean, we could very well see, the winner of this division next year being the number one seed, and both other teams, between Minnesota, Detroit, and Green Bay, could both be wild card teams. That's how tight this NFC North I think is really going to be. Um, and I think having a kicker and getting a better corner and getting someone opposite of Aiden will give us that edge to actually just win the division overall. Because the winner of this division could very, very well be the number one seed next year.
Yeah, I think so, man. Our division's going to be crazy.
Yeah, but that wraps up your championship weekend. Obviously, we got a weekend break from football before the Super Bowl. NHL All Star break is coming up tomorrow night. They announce all the skill competition stuff that's going on. There's supposedly a new format to the skills competition for the NHL All Star weekend, which kind of looking forward to see what that is, and also a new competition in general. There's a new skill competition, which is a lot. There's a lot of rumors to it. I don't know which one to believe, so I'm not gonna get really into that. But we got some breaking news right now. John Angelos, the owner of the Baltimore Orioles, has just sold the Orioles to two private equity billionaires, David
Mm-hmm.
Rubenstein and Mike Aguirre, um, for $1.725 billion. This is obviously huge for the Orioles. They they have a new owner. The team is in actually a really, really good position for the future after making the playoffs this past off season. I think this just overall in general for the Orioles is a really, really good um, move for them going forward. I'm sure a lot of Baltimore fans are happy with this.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, these this private equity, as long as they can spend some money, man, I mean, they're definitely going to be happy. They have such a good farm system, man. They've had the number one prospect like 3 years in a row. Adley Rutschman, Gunnar Henderson, and Jackson Holiday now. So they got a bright future. They were really good last year. They won like 100 games last year. So just doing good in the playoffs is just all they need, man. They definitely got talent.
Yeah, they definitely have a lot of talent. Um, especially just in their farm system. Still, they have a lot of talent. So, but yeah, this just popped up about 10 minutes ago or so that the sale was finalized today. So yeah, big news there for Baltimore. Um, but yeah, back to the NHL. Couple just minor things, just to talk or just to mention real quick. The Rangers um, are losing somebody big for the rest of the season due to some issues with some concussions. Um, that being uh, Jesus Christ, what's his name now? Philip Hedel. He's had some concussion issues, and they just decided to shut him down for the entire season. So hopefully, he gets better during the off season and can get back to playing next season. And then Patrick Laine has entered the players assistance program. Um, we don't know what it is, and frankly, it's no one's business to know why he's entered the program. Like I feel like most people aren't going to go and try and dig around to figure out why exactly he's in there. And obviously the program's there for a multitude of reasons. It could be a domestic, issue, alcohol, drug use, something. We don't know, and frankly, it's none of our position to really speculate on that. But it's a big loss for the Blues. Um, and lastly, we have one person from that sexual assault case about going on with the World Juniors 2018 team from Canada. Alex Fermenton has surrendered to the London police. He did that, I think, on Sunday or Saturday. It happened this weekend. So yeah, he's the first of the players that have taken leave from their teams to actually surrender to the London police. So we'll keep an eye on that story, of course, see what comes of it. And we'll go from there. But Mike, do you have anything else before we get going here?
No, so just these other sports are going to start taking over as the NFL season is coming to a close here. I'm excited to see how the NHL and NBA playoffs that will be starting soon. Then spring training for baseball, of course, around April time is going to be super exciting to see.
And TSN just actually broke news earlier this afternoon. I'm just now seeing it. Carter Hart, Michael McLeod, Dylan Dubé, and Cal Foote, all players that had left their teams for indefinite leave of action, have all been directed to surrender to the London police. So that is actually confirmed that those players are actually involved in this case. So yeah, that's some pretty big news. Tough losses for a lot of those teams, especially the Devils losing two very critical players in their young core as well. And then Philly losing their number one goalie, not looking good for them either. But yeah, man. Obviously, we have the Super Bowl coming up. Thursday's episode, we're gonna probably just talk about random stuff at this point. We don't have any football, obviously, this weekend. Next week, though, it's gonna be all. It's gonna be all pretty much just Super Bowl talk. Also, breaking today, Ben Johnson said he's going to stay with the Lions. Told both Washington and Seattle that he is staying in Detroit. And to me, the quotes that he had, that he said, sounds like he just really just likes where he's at in Detroit. He talked with his wife about it. Um, and maybe it's just he wants to have just another year under Dan Campbell, trying to learn from him, and then he'll go. But there's a lot of different takes on what exactly was his decision there. But that gives me a ton of confidence going into the next season as a Lions fan. That's for sure. Having him back.
Yeah, I agree, man. Great to see him back, and try and run it back with more experienced and maybe some better players as well.
Yeah, that is for sure. Short episode for you guys, and probably going to be a short one on Thursday as well. But rate, review, subscribe, help us out. Let us know what more content you want to see from us. We're going to be ramping up things. Spring training starting soon for the MLB. We'll get into that. We're a month away from the NHL trade deadline, which is really late this year. It's March 8th, which is really late. Normally it's the last day of February, but it is what it is there. NBA All-Star games coming up. Obviously, we have the NHL All-Star game coming up this weekend. We'll talk a little bit more about that on Thursday, though. Yeah, anyways, thank you guys so much for listening, and we will see you guys on Thursday.